Last episode, we talked about controlling your morning, starting your day with peace so the day doesn't control you. But here's what I didn't say. Even when you do that, the fight, it doesn't go away. It just changes form. It gets quieter, more subtle, more personal. For me, it doesn't show up in some loud voice. It's not dramatic. It's a little scroll, just scrolling. And then all of a sudden, something pops up. And in that moment, nothing's happened yet. That is what people miss. Because right there, you have a clean exit. But most of the time, you just keep scrolling. And sometimes I do. But sometimes I don't. And this is where it gets real. Because it's not like I don't know better. I know exactly where this leads. But that thought, it still shows up. Just for a second. It's not a big deal. You haven't done anything wrong yet. And I want to stop you right there for a second. Because that last line, you're not doing anything wrong yet. That's where the real fight is. Not in the act, in the negotiation before it. There's a moment, a very specific moment, where the decision is still clean, where you still have full control. And what I've learned is that if you don't win the fight there, you've already lost, because that moment passes fast. And once it does, you're no longer reasoning, you're rationalizing. Trust me, I've been there. Those are two completely different things. And that's the lie. Because at that point, the decision, it's already happened. And if I'm being honest, it's not the first look that does the damage. It's the second one. Because that second one comes after you already know. The first one, you can almost excuse it. Unexpected, uninvited. But the second one is a choice. Deep down, you know the moment that you make it. I've had those moments where I knew exactly what I was doing. I wasn't confused. I wasn't unaware. I knew. And I did it anyways. And here's what people don't see. The moment after. Because it hits immediately. Something's off inside. You feel it deep in your chest, in your thoughts, in the way that you carry yourself the rest of the day. And it doesn't ever go away. It builds more and more and more. That same day, you feel it deep inside. The next morning, still there. Life becomes different because you know deep inside. And what I've noticed is that men carry this alone. We don't talk about it. We compartmentalize it. We tell ourselves that it's handled when really we've just buried it. And buried things don't stay buried. They resurface. It comes back as anger, as distance, as a version of yourself that nobody recognizes, including you. I've been that version more times than I want to admit. For me, it feels like distance. Like I've stepped away from who I'm supposed to be, from God. And I want to be honest with you about something, because I think this is where a lot of men in their 40s and 50s live. We're old enough to look back, old enough to count the things we've done, the people we've hurt, the versions of ourselves that we're not proud of. And something shifts. Maybe it's age. Maybe it's proximity to the things that matter. Maybe it's just awareness. The weight, it gets heavier, not lighter. And I think that's actually a grace. Because a man who can no longer feel the weight has already stopped paying attention. And that's the part that bothers me most. Not the mistake, the separation. And here's what surprised me. It doesn't stay internal. Others, they can tell. Before I say anything, before I explain anything, people can tell something's off. I'm shorter. I'm more irritated. I lose patience faster. Even the way I respond to the simple things, it changes. And here's what's interesting. It's not really about what just happened. It's about what I'm carrying. It starts showing up everywhere. Even the way I talk about people changes. I catch myself saying things that I normally wouldn't. And here's what I've come to understand about that. When you give in, you weaken the door everywhere else. It's not just about the thing that you did. It's about what you've told yourself in that quiet internal voice that never lies, that you're the kind of person who gives in. And the narrative, it starts to spread into how you treat your wife and how you show up at work and the thoughts you entertain that you've never say out loud. The internal and external are never separated as we pretend. And that's when it really hits me. This isn't one issue, it's a shift. Because once I give in one area, because it becomes easier to give in others. And I know that because I've seen the opposite too. When I'm grounded, when I'm where I'm supposed to be, the same situations don't even affect me. Things that would normally pull me in, I just let them go. I focus on what actually matters. My family, my grandkids. That's where my attention goes. But when I'm off, I don't stay there. I drift into everything else. And eventually, it builds to a point where I can't ignore it anymore. That's when I go to confession. And I'll be honest. I don't go there because I feel worthy. I go because I'm not. And I know some of you are watching this aren't Catholic. Maybe you're not religious at all. And I'm not here to sell you on anything. But I'll tell you what confession does for me. Because I think every man needs some version of it. It forces you to say the things out loud. Not what's in your head, not what's written down in your journal. Out loud to another person. And there is something about that act that cuts through everything the silence protects. Because silence doesn't heal, it insulates. In insulated things, they just stay broken in the dark. Saying it out loud is the beginning of something that's actually changing. And when I walk out, that's peace again. Real peace. Not because I'm perfect, but because I came back. And I've thought about this a lot. Why this fight even exists. Why it feels like the more I try to stay on track, the more I get pulled off. And I'm not saying this in any dramatic way, but there's a part of me that's wondered if the fight actually gets stronger. So when you're trying to do the right thing, because I've heard it said that the ones that are already lost, they don't get pursued. It's the ones trying to stay on track that feel the pull the most. And if you're in your 40s and 50s and you're trying to become a better man, I want you to hear this. The resistance you feel is not evidence that you're failing. It may be evidence that you're finally fighting. Because the man who feels nothing at all, they're not at peace. He's already stopped trying. And that's a much darker place to be. The fight means that you still care. And a man who still cares is a man who can still change. And I don't have the answers to that. But I know what it feels like. Because the most credible person in the room isn't the one without doubts or struggles or temptations. It's the one who keeps moving forward. That's why my morning matters. Because when I'm grounded, those moments don't get traction. I see them. I move them. So if you're dealing with something like that, you're not alone. The fall isn't just the moment that you've slipped. It's everything that follows. If you don't come back, and coming back isn't weakness, it's the whole point. So I'll ask you this. When that moment shows up, what do you do with it? I know that this is personal, but if you're willing, I would love for you to share it in the comments below. Let me know what you're carrying and how you laid it down so that you can move forward. I'm Mario. This is the channel. I'll see you on the next one.